So, morning, and can you tell me your name and a little bit about how you're involved in the creative arts?
Yeah, so I'm Victoria Holton. So kind of two things that I do really. I'm a performer, and that can range from anything from theatre, commercials, voiceover, corporate role play, corporate films, commercials. And then I'm also a performing arts practitioner, so working across the community, um, delivering performing arts sessions.
And what kind of communities do you work with?
Mostly at the minute it's schools, and like youth theatres. Kind of been my main focus really in the majority of the work the past few years. But I've done like care settings, dementia settings, open prisons, crime reduction intervention. So yeah, it's been really, really varied. But a lot of the work that I do at the moment is with school children.
Really interesting. So, what kind of form does your work take? Do you kind of run workshops and create work together?
So in terms of the children that I work with, it's normally working towards performance. If they're in kind of like the youth groups or the like theatre and dance skills, so we'll work on performance skills, and then that'll take the form of normally a performance at the end of it. Um, or I do have like I teach individual students musical theatre, so they work towards musical theatre exams with London College of Music. But going into schools, that it's just whatever is asked of me, really. So yeah, it can be anything from themes of bullying, a certain line of literature that they want to follow, confidence in speaking. So it can be really, really varied.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, so what do you think the kids and the other groups you work with, what do they get out of this kind of thing, and how do you get them to engage, and how do you encourage people that are shy and nervous about engaging, but maybe have some talent to share?
Yeah, so it's people are there for very, very different reasons. Some want to do it as a career, so they want to kind of learn the skills to be able to take it onto a professional level. Some are there simply because they enjoy it. They love the social aspect. They love being able to build up their confidence. Um, it's really, really varied, to be honest. Um, but I always say that just give it a go. That's always the thing that I say to the kids. And I always create a nice, safe environment for them, so that you, if they feel anxious or nervous, I just try and create a nice, relaxed environment where they're not going to feel in that way, and just build up their confidence and self-esteem with positive feedback and criticism. That's kind of the main thing that I do. And then demonstrate. So if I want them to do something, I always demonstrate it and give it a go. I would never ask the children to do something that I wouldn't demonstrate or do myself. And just don't be afraid to be silly, because a lot of their holdbacks are what they think other people think about them. And I'm like, people aren't thinking about that. They are probably thinking about what they're going to have for the tea. Like, they're not kind of, this whole scenario that you create in your head doesn't really, in most circumstances, exist. Because I think that can be the holdback for some children, is the fear of what other people think, when actually people don't really care.
Brilliant, brilliant. I like that. I like that message. Um, so getting back to your own practice, have you always been involved with the arts? Was that something you grew up doing?
To be honest, I came like, if you ask mum, she would be like, "Oh, you were always performing around the house and things." But it wasn't really until I was a teenager that I took an interest, and it was more through singing. Initially, I got my way in, and then through singing, I've kind of found the different paths of performing through kind of theatre wherever that kind of led performance wise. But yeah, it was more as a teenager. Like, I wasn't this little kid that went to kind of dance school from the age 2 and kind of took that route. I kind of took a different route, I suppose.
And did you did you go to university? Have you had formal training? Or
Yeah. So my elder sister, one of her best friends, she was at university in Derby doing performing arts, and I didn't even know that was a thing that you could go and study, really. And I went to watch one of her shows at university, and then I went to watch her performance up at Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go and study theatre and drama. And initially I applied twice to get into drama school and didn't get in. And so I thought, right, I'm going to take the university route, because I was really inspired when I went to see her. So I went to university, but whilst I was there, I did 6 months in Canada for our final year. They said, you can write your dissertation, or you can go abroad and study and do a journal. And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to do that. So I was very fortunate. And I went to Canada, and that was the course there was very much run how we envisaged like a drama school to be run, just kind of very, very practical based. So anyway, left university. I worked for a children's theatre company for a year doing pantomimes and literature shows around the UK, but I just still had that urge and that passion and need to go do kind of more formal training. So I went and did my master's in London for a year, and then I suppose that was kind of my training progression, really, from being a teenager to my early 20s.
Right, brilliant. So I guess I can't really avoid asking, particularly at the moment. It's like at the beginning of these interviews, it looked like we're coming out of lockdown, and now we kind of seem to be heading back in. So what kind of effect has all of this had on your practice, and how do you see things in the next couple of years, if you can try and predict that far?
Yeah, well, to be honest, over the past year, in terms of theatre work, I've kind of wanted to kind of have a little break from doing theatre. I've got a little boy, and I kept finding that the late nights and the theatre shows, I just kept burning out and getting exhausted. So actually, during lockdown, it gave me a period of time to actually think and reflect, is that kind of the path that I still want to go down? And I still do really love theatre, but I've used kind of lockdown to explore different avenues for myself through doing some screen acting courses, but also during lockdown I created my first online performance, which was a sing-along, it's probably like a sing-along performance for VE Day, and I really enjoyed creating my own work. So in that sense, like, it's been really positive in that sense, because I've been able to explore and look kind of at new avenues going forward. And then in terms of my teaching work, a lot of that went online, which was really difficult, because for some of my students it worked, and then others, they just found that platform really difficult, as did I, to be honest. I think like it was difficult, but you learn to adapt and adjust. But going kind of forward in terms of working performance wise, at the minute it's going to be really, really difficult. And so yeah, I've been looking at different things that I can do. Like, for me, mental health is massive, and I can see the effects on children at the minute. Like, it's devastating, just the kind of the world we live in, and then Corona along as well. So the minute I'm doing a children's mental health course. So yeah, just trying to like continue to develop kind of professionally and in both strands of work, really.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be a real recurring theme in these interviews, that the appreciation of that ability to step back and think about artistic practice and where we individually want to go with it as artists. And that has been brilliant, but I kind of feel like we're ready to, get back out there and work on what we've been thinking about.
Yeah, definitely.
So I hope we're soon going to have an opportunity to do that. The date check for the record is 24th of September 2020 now. Just a final question about, it's interesting that you mentioned mental health then, because I'm just interested in what the creative arts does beyond that idea of putting on a show, having a performance at the end of it, what it gives to people besides something to watch, something to read. And I'm really interested in this idea of combining the creative arts with different approaches to mental health. And so would that be something that you'll think about focusing on in future, how you can use your art together with that kind of mental health stimulus?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it has to inform the work that you do. And I think it's massively important that the arts kind of bridging gaps with communities. For me, that's the most important thing at the moment, especially when people are so alone and isolated. How can the arts reach out to those people? Because ultimately, like, it improves mental health. Like, you can't, there's no denying that. So for me, yeah, the most important thing going forward is how can we still, the creative arts still reach people and communities, I think is vitally important.
Brilliant. Well, I'm trying to come up with some great ideas about all of that, and I'd love to come back to you at the end of the project and see ways we might work together.
I think one thing that struck me as well is that how do we do it? How can we do it when it's not online and digitally as well? Because there are some people that just, it actually makes their mental health worse by being online. So I think it's important that venues and commissioners keeping that online stuff for those who feel that, but also creating safe spaces for those who still need access to those arts.
Yeah, and also recognising that some people just live in situations where they don't have access to devices.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody has, but that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot of the people that don't have access to the internet are a lot of the people that we could do with reaching out to. So it's how to find those people and facilitate them.
Mm-hmm.
Right, well, we've got a lot of work to do, haven't we? But we all seem very capable of it. It's been lovely to talk to you, Victoria, and I hope to catch up with you again in a few months.
Lovely, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.